In February 2000, Katherine Knight killed her husband and may or may not have almost fed some of his body parts to his children. Hello everyone. Welcome to True Crime. I would appreciate it if you can subscribe, like and comment. Today we are going to be talking about Katherine Knight, the first woman in Australia to be sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Katherine Knight did go through a very traumatic childhood. Born in 1955 in the rural town of Tenterfield, New South Wales, Knight grew up in Aberdeen, where she faced a difficult family life. Her father, Ken Knight, was reportedly a violent alcoholic who often abused her mother, Barbara. Katherine and her siblings witnessed their mother suffering physical and emotional abuse, shaping her deeply troubled perceptions of relationships and instilling a distrust of men. This environment likely influenced her later violent behavior and hatred toward male partners. Katherine's school years were also turbulent. Known to be a bully, she targeted students and even assaulted teachers, though she was noted for her otherwise shy personality. She dropped out at age 15 without learning to read or write, eventually finding work at a local slaughterhouse. Katherine quickly found satisfaction in butchery and became proficient with knives, a skill she would later use in horrific ways. Her attachment to her butcher's knives grew, and she kept them by her bed, considering them her prized possessions. As an adult, Katherine entered a series of volatile relationships, often marked by abuse, usually from her toward her partners. She inflicted violence on multiple ex-partners, including incidents where she fractured one man's skull and stabbed another. In some of her more extreme actions, she once placed her infant on train tracks and was institutionalized on several occasions, each time demonstrating severe mental health issues. Over time, her relationships became more threatening and dangerous for those involved. Katherine's relationship with her last partner, John Price, was especially tumultuous. John Charles Thomas Price, known for his kind and dependable nature, spent most of his life in Aberdeen, New South Wales. While details about his early years and specific childhood experiences are limited, his adult life reflects someone grounded in his community, respected by neighbors and co-workers. As an adult, Price became a father of 3 and established a good reputation among those who knew him. He was known as a hard-working and terrific bloke. However, his marriage ended in 1988, and he later became involved in a turbulent relationship with Katherine Knight. Katherine Knight and John Price's relationship began in 1995 when Knight moved in with Price and 2 of his 3 children. Price was aware of Knight's troubled past and violent tendencies, but he initially found the relationship fulfilling. Knight was known for her disturbing behavior, yet Price's children reportedly liked her, and they seemed to settle into a somewhat harmonious domestic life. At first, things seemed stable, though friends and family had their doubts given Knight's violent history. As the relationship progressed, Knight's jealousy and controlling tendencies surfaced. In 1998, their relationship took a darker turn when Price refused her marriage proposal. Furious, Knight retaliated by videotaping items he had taken from work, though these were discarded items he hadn't actually stolen, and reporting him to his boss, leading to his dismissal after 17 years on the job. This caused a significant rift between them, with Price furious at her betrayal, and he promptly kicked her out. They reconciled a few months later, though Price made it clear he wouldn't allow her to move back in. Their on-again, off-again relationship grew increasingly volatile, causing Price to lose friends who feared for his safety. Price became more isolated, and he was under constant pressure from both Knight's presence and the danger she posed. In early 2000, the tension reached a peak. In February, after an intense argument where Knight stabbed him in the chest, Price obtained a restraining order against her, expressing to friends and colleagues his fear that she might kill him. He mentioned this concern to his coworkers on February 29, saying that if he didn't show up for work the next day, it would mean she had killed him. Despite the restraining order, he felt obligated to return home out of fear that Knight might harm his children in retaliation. On the evening of February 29, 2000, Price returned home to find that Knight had sent his children to a sleepover. She then arrived at his house, calmly watching television and taking a shower before waking him up for intimacy. After he fell back asleep, she attacked him, ultimately stabbing him 37 times, and tragically, his worst fears about Knight came true. After Katherine Knight fatally stabbed John Price 37 times while he was asleep, she carried out actions that shocked both investigators and the public due to their disturbing and gruesome nature. Following the murder, she used her skills as a butcher to skin Price's body. She hung his skin from a meat hook in the lounge room. Knight then decapitated him and placed his head in a pot on the stove to boil. She prepared parts of his body to serve as a meal with various vegetables, intending to serve the dinner to Price's children. Investigators found place settings on the table with notes identifying each child's name, although the children were fortunately not home that night due to Knight having arranged for them to stay elsewhere. Knight was found in a bedroom, appearing to have overdosed on pills in an attempt to end her own life, but she was still alive. She was immediately taken into custody, where she later claimed to have no memory of the horrific actions she had committed. At her trial, Katherine's actions were described in chilling detail. The crime scene had revealed that she had not only stabbed Price but had skinned him, cooked parts of his body, and prepared them in a twisted attempt to serve them to his children. Katherine's defense team did not dispute the severity of the crime but attempted to explain her actions through her troubled history, including a background of abusive relationships and psychiatric issues. Despite these arguments, the court found her fully responsible for the murder. Justice Barry O'Keefe sentenced Katherine Knight to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, making her the first woman in Australian history to receive such a sentence. The judge emphasized that her sentence was to ensure she would never be released. Katherine has since appealed the severity of her sentence, but her conviction remains firm. The aftermath of Katherine Knight's crime and subsequent trial was far-reaching, affecting not only her victims' families but also the wider Australian public's understanding of domestic violence and mental health. The murder of John Price left his children devastated. They were spared from witnessing the gruesome scene, as Knight had sent them away to stay with friends the night of the murder. However, they later learned of the shocking details of their father's death, which was a traumatic experience for them. Price's children, especially his two younger ones, had to cope with the emotional scars left by both the loss of their father and the horrific manner of his death. Knight's case remains one of the most talked about and horrifying crimes in Australian history. The sheer brutality of her actions, combined with her earlier reputation for violent behavior, made the case widely covered in the media. It has sparked discussions on issues of domestic violence, mental health, and the consequences of abusive relationships. Knight's crime, in particular, highlighted how seemingly mundane relationships can be hiding deeply troubling dynamics, often unnoticed by outsiders. The public outcry over the crime also led to increased awareness and advocacy around domestic violence prevention. The case has served as a grim reminder of the potential dangers in abusive relationships, even when one party does not seem overtly violent or dangerous. The case has also been analyzed by criminologists and psychologists, as it presents a chilling example of a person whose behavior escalated to the point of extreme violence. Experts have studied Knight's history of abuse and violence in her relationships as part of understanding the psychological path that led to her horrific actions. The case has been used in criminal justice and psychology courses to illustrate how severe mental health issues, combined with a history of trauma and abuse, can lead to devastating consequences. Katherine Knight's case remains one of Australia's most notorious, with lasting repercussions for her family, the victims of domestic violence, and the broader legal and social community. Thank you all for watching this. I would appreciate it if you can subscribe, like, comment, and tell your other friends to come on and join the true crimers. Thank you all.